Under rule of the Holy Roman Empire in Strasbourg, now a part of modern-day France, a phenomenon took the city by storm in 1518. Known as the Dancing Plague of 1518, tens if not hundreds of citizens flooded the streets and did just as the name implies, they danced. Many theories circle the puzzling event ranging from spiritual to scientific. Some exact details have been under scrutiny like the death count. Yes, you heard that right, the death count. July 14th had hit the city of Strasbourg in 1518, and a mother, Frau Trophea, and her daughter Fräulein Emmergertz felt the indescribable urge to dance, and so it begun. They took to the streets and started dancing. Within days, more than 30 others had joined in on their unknown cause. Soon a week had passed and Frau danced on. By this point, the rave was over 3 dozen strong. Rumor has it that by the time August came around, the plague had claimed 400 victims. Dancers were collapsing and some had apparently even died from stroke or heart attack. At this point, the dancing was less so what someone would think modernly of dancing, as it was described as spasmodic with convulsions taking control of their bodies. Their arms thrashed violently around and their eyes were vacant with no expression. Shoes were filled with blood due to swollen feet with sores. They would even cry for help due to the affliction. At its peak, the death count soared to 15 in a day, but the final number of fatalities is not entirely known. The matter eventually reached the authorities. Unfortunately, the authorities had no idea how to remedy this situation and instead turned it to physicians. At a time where modern medicine and science weren't nearly as advanced as it is today, the physicians prescribed more dancing. To quote, dance themselves free of it. The guild halls were decorated to accommodate for the dancing and musicians were brought in to play live music. Strong people also littered the area, helping those at the brink of defeat to stay upright. This decision to lean into it backfired as no improvements were seen. The council then took a 180 and decided to ban all public dancing as discourse spread about it being a punishment from St. Vitus, a Christian martyr from the 3rd century, and more joined into the dancing to free of sin. Eventually the council went as far as to ban music as a whole. A ritual even developed from the act. Many were ordered to go to the shrine of St. Vitus where they must undergo a procedure involving splashing red shoes with holy water. Forgiven by Vitus, word spread through Strasbourg, and finally the dancing started to dwindle. The few remaining were taken atop a mountain to pray for absolution. This isn't the first case of a dancing plague, however. In the medieval age, it has been recorded as well as in Coldback, Saxony in the 11th century. There, it was believed to be a result of divine judgment. In 15th century Apulia, Italy, it struck again after a woman was bitten by a tarantula. This time around, the cure of the venom was to shimmy with specific music to dance to. Others have also alluded to even a sort of demonic possession or boiling blood. While the commonly shared story states that people danced until death took them, the official sources from the city of Strasbourg have no mention of a tally of deaths, or even if there were fatalities to begin with. Beyond that, there aren't any justifiable sources to claim that there were fatalities at all. If it is true that the death toll reached as high as 15 in a single day, it is very possible for the count to be well into the hundreds, according to Ned Pennant Rea. John Waller wrote several journal articles dissecting the topic and a book called A Time to Dance, A Time to Die, The Extraordinary Story of the Dancing Plague of 1518. Every source Waller used to cite the deaths were from later accounts of the event. The total number of participants is also quite uncertain, ranging from 50 to 400. As science has progressed, other ideas have formed. Food poisoning may have been the culprit. This would have stemmed from their local bread as ergot fungi, which contains toxic and psychoactive chemicals, grows commonly on grains used to bake bread. Ergotamine, the main psychoactive product of ergot fungi, has a similar chemical structure to LSD. The fungus has also been traced to other historical anomalies, including the Salem witch trials. In an article from The Lancet, John Waller claims that this is unlikely due to the fact that individuals dance for days, and that the fact so many people have the same reaction to the chemicals. The state of the climate and crops also comes into question, as it doesn't match the usual combination of factors to foster ergot fungi. Another proposed theory is that it was induced by some sort of stress-induced mass hysteria. Even given the standards for the time period, the region of Alsace, where Strasbourg resides, had conditions that were rough. Waller backs this theory, citing the disease and starvation that was beating down the city. On top of this, the residents were superstitious to begin with. This theory deepens as psychogenic illnesses can make the body move different parts randomly, and this is known as chorea. Strasbourg's 1518 went down in history as one of the most puzzling instances in human history. Over 500 years later, we still investigate its origins. The more that humanity looks into the dancing plague and other similar occurrences, the more we can understand these odd stories of the past. Thank you for watching this episode of WikiNarrator. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment with any other ideas.